All right, we're joined by Christopher Impey, distinguished professor at the Department of Astronomy at the University of Arizona, Dr. Ajay Lele, who is always on NDTV whenever there's a big space mission. So he joins us at this stage as well. And Apurva Jakhadi, space educator and advisor to the Yashwantrao Chavan Planetarium at Nashik, with us as well. Professor Impey, thanks very much for being with us. In terms of the technology and the delays that we've seen, some of them were fairly serious safety concerns. You know, it had to do with a liquid oxygen sort of leak. There were suggestions that SpaceX would try and fix it on the pad. As we understand it, in fact, Pallav has reported about it, ISRO put its foot down and said, no, it needs to be a better fix and things need to be cross-checked before the mission goes through. So, you know, I mean, how significant in your mind was that leak itself?
Well, I mean, you have to remember that we're dealing with highly volatile, flammable substances. The fuels involved here are liquid oxygen and kerosene, very volatile kerosene. These are explosives. And so they're being very cautious. But the big picture is important to bear in mind. Maybe people are a little anxious with SpaceX because we've seen a fiery explosion of the Starship rocket on the launch pad only a week ago. 3 out of the last 4 Starship missions did not go well. But this is a very seasoned and tested and successful rocket, the Falcon 9. You had the statistics up there. It's only failed a handful of times out of 500. It's very mature technology, highly successful. So they're just taking all their precautions, and you know, most people should be confident that it'll go fine.
Dr. Ajay Lele, don't want to belabor the point on the liquid oxygen leak, but it did get fairly intense at one stage because I believe SpaceX and Axiom wanted it to be fixed on the pad in double quick time. SpaceX is known for making these course corrections, making repairs quickly on the pad. But ISRO's chairman, who's over there, actually said that no, he wants it to be a deeper fix and he wants it to be checked out as well before the mission goes ahead. And he's one of our leading sort of rocketry experts. This being the case, could you just sort of run us through what you've heard about, you know, some of the reasons why the latest couple of delays have taken place?
Good morning to you. I think the delays are known now. First delay happened because of the weather. Today weather is luckily holding. That's what it appears. You never know what will happen after 3 hours. Second thing is that the delay happened because there was a problem because it is a cryogenic engine and you just can't take chances. And I can say, luckily for India, the chairman ISRO is so clued up into these technologies because in his initial period in ISRO, he has handled all those technologies. So he was the perfect person at the right time. So I'm sure he must have taken a very critical view of what is happening. And if you remember, ISRO will never take chances. I remember a couple of years back, you had a mission to moon, but at that time, President of India was there, but something went wrong and ISRO decided to call off the mission. So ISRO is very clear. As far as missions are concerned, they don't take any chances. And more than that it is a human mission. Subsequently, there was a realization that after this leak has been sorted out, there is a problem with the International Space Station also. One must understand that this space station is there for now around 25 years plus where humans are there. So there are a lot of hygiene issues which are associated with it. Your entire Russian module was not functioning correctly and astronauts do stay over there. So you will have to shift the astronauts from one room to other room and all that. Means I'm saying it very simplistically, but that was the basic issue. So until and unless NASA was not very clear that the entire International Space Station is in a perfect health, other aspect is that as far as the Russian module is concerned, there is a docking also associated with that. So I'm not very sure where the docking is going to happen as far as this craft is concerned. But there are a lot of small things which sitting on surface of the earth, you feel that, oh, this can be taken care of, but that's not the case. And I think that's the reason why all precautions have been taken. And now we are ready 3 hours hence for the launch.
Dr. Lele, you spoke about the oxygen leak. You also spoke about the weather issues and the leak on the International Space Station. Now, how confident are you that the liftoff will happen today and that we will be able to see Group Captain Shukla making history?
You see, as far as this entire mission is concerned, after the liftoff, it is going to take 28 hours for Group Captain Shukla to reach the International Space Station. So it's a very long journey. So definitely, I don't think so that anybody will take any sort of a risk. No corners should be cut, and I'm sure that they will not be cut. If you see the history of a Falcon rocket itself, because when you are talking of a liftoff, Falcon rocket has undertaken more than 480 missions with hardly 2 to 3 failures. So it has got a great track record. Now, the issue with the Falcon rocket is that it has got 2 stages, and SpaceX also always ensures that the first stage is received back. In order to save the cost, you can use this first stage again. So it's not only the health of the rocket, it's not only about rocket only going to the space. They also must be making it sure that the first stage will be received perfectly all right. So all these complications are there as far as Falcon 9 is concerned. But if you really look at their track record, it started way back in 2010. They took the first flight, that is the cargo flight to International Space Station by 2012. And subsequently, human flights have started just 2 to 3 years back. Because if you see the Axiom program, 22, 23, 24, Axiom 1, Axiom 2, and Axiom 3 had gone to the International Space Station. So the drill is known to Axiom as well as to SpaceX. So I'm sure they will be able to pull it off very successfully.
Just the Associated Press with a small release, Pallav, just a few moments back. Don't worry. You can still smile, Pallav. Nothing has gone wrong. Everything is fine, on track. SpaceX is launching Falcon 9 rocket with Axiom Space's Axiom Mission 4, AX4, to the International Space Station from the Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida after postponing it several times. The fourth private astronaut mission carries the US astronaut Peggy Whitson, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of India, and mission specialist Slawosz Wisniewski of Poland and Tibor Kapu of Hungary. The launch is targeted at 0631 GMT, which is 3 hours, 33 minutes and 42 seconds from now, 12:01 p.m. IST.
That is right.
So the good thing, I think, Apurva Jakadi, is that we aren't having this conversation at 3 a.m. Indian Standard Time or 4 a.m. Indian Standard Time, because when it comes to space launches, it can actually happen whenever there is a window. But fortunately, on this occasion, it's a respectable time for us. We are wide awake, and we should be watched by a lot of people in India and around the world. What does this mission, ma'am, mean for India?
Yes, definitely it's going to be a huge cosmic leap for us, and particularly for India. The Gagan Yatri from India, who is representing Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, is on the board. And as Indians, and especially the youth, they are looking forward to this particular space flight because we have the next generation of astronauts who will be representing and who will be also contributing for ISRO's forthcoming Gaganyaan mission. So it's going to be a huge cosmic leap. And as far as the forthcoming mission, we all are looking forward to this. It's an international collaboration, we know that. And when there is an Indian on board, the spirit is very high. And so it means a lot for us. And I would definitely say that this roadmap of Shubhanshu Shukla is going to set an example for our youth, because they are all looking forward to this particular space flight.
All right, Pallav?
Now, this is the first step for India's Gaganyaan program, and I have called it the first step. We are learning how to crawl. Beyond this, what is the roadmap looking like for India, and does that excite you, Professor?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, it's...
Yes.
Professor Impe, please.
Sorry.
Professor
Yes.
Impe, go ahead, yeah.
I mean,
Impe, yeah.
it's very exciting. If you're talking about young people, for example, the young people watching this could realize that possibly in their lifetime, possibly that them participating, India could have a base on the moon. They could be traveling to another world. India has very grand ambitions in space, and they've done amazing things robotically with the moon. And so I think we have to imagine that anyone who's a youth watching this could be inspired to be in the next generation of astronauts, leaving the Earth and not just going into Earth orbit, but going beyond. I mean, that's an incredible vision.
All right. Professor Impey, another question for you. This is, of course, a paid ride. You know, I mean, it's India's paid for it. We've got our astronaut, very qualified group captain, pilot. All of that is great. But how do you believe the experiences here are a stepping stone to India's own crewed mission, which, you know, should be running in, up in space, hopefully in what, 2 years or so from now, if all the tests go right? And that's going to be huge.
Right. So you have to develop your own internal capacity for developing for a space program. And initially you rely on other technologies, other companies, SpaceX, very mature rocket that is being used today. But India's already been developing its own space program. And, you know, I'll say the average age of a NASA engineer is in the upper 50s. And I'm pretty sure that the average age of the space engineers in India is in their 20s or 30s. So these are young, energized people. They've learned their trade and they're looking to the future. So yes, you build your own capacity as a country with grand ambitions in space. India has the resources to do it, has the motivation to do it, has the talent to do it. And so I'm very pleased to look forward and watch what happens in the next decade.
All right, so just a few more details now coming in. Feeling pride for Axiom Space and more than a little fear of missing out, seeing off the AX-4 crew just before they head up to the suit-up facility is the commander of the mission, not the commander on board the spacecraft, Peggy Whitson, but the overall commander of the mission. We've got a lovely picture up of the crew. That's going to be up on your screen. We've got a different angle of that shot. Let's have that tweet up in just the next few moments as well. But what you see on your screen now is from, I think, about 20 minutes back, 15, 20 minutes back, when the crew got off that minivan to get to the place where they suit up, the suit-up facility, as it were, and they seem pretty relieved to be out there because they've been waiting for a huge amount of time. Ajay Lele, that's not been easy, has it? You know, I mean, a mission being called off so many times does put some sort of pressure on the crew. It takes a great deal of leadership, and Peggy Whitson is an exemplary astronaut. But her task would have been to ensure that her crew deals with these delays, right? And is fit, not just physically, but in their minds, to deal with any further delays and then deal with actually getting the mission done, right? That needs a lot of leadership.
Definitely. If you see the entire trajectory of the astronauts going to the International Space Station or even otherwise going to space, most of them are with the Air Force background. In our case also, you say from Sunita Williams to Rakesh Sharma till Group Captain Shukla, everybody is an ace pilot, everybody is a test pilot. So what happens is that when you are in the business of aviation, you always go through all these challenges of a bad weather, engines malfunctioning, systems malfunctioning, getting delays for many days. People have got stuck on airfields, particularly airfields like Srinagar and all that. When weather goes bad, people get stuck over there for more than 1 week, 10 days, 15 days also. So these people are inherently trained into all those activities. So if you really ask me, their mindset is perfect in this. Means for them, this is not new. They have gone through this in their career on aviation for many years. Now it's just a step ahead where they are entering the career in basically becoming an astronaut. And you look at the type of a training which Group Captain Shukla has gone. He first underwent a training in Russia. Then subsequently, India has established its own center also to train astronauts in Bangalore. They were training over there. And since he was supposed to go on a SpaceX mission, separate type of a training is required. Hence, he was getting trained in US also. So the type of a training which he has undergone for last 4 to 5 years, I think is very exemplary. And if he has withstood all that of very, one can say, harsh training, then I'm sure definitely these types of delays are not going to make any sort of a difference in his thinking.
Certainly, it should not make a difference, and we have been told repeatedly, Commander Peggy Whitson told NDTV that he is wicked smart, and his own crew have said that he has
has a great sense of humor, right? Extremely qualified and all of that. Here's a young man who is really keen to get this mission going. Sorry, go ahead, Pallav.
He is very smart. I've spoken to him. He is very qualified. He is level-headed. He has a great sense of humor, and I'm sure he will make a great team player. And since this is the beginning for India's Gaganyaan, he has a 20 to 25 year career ahead of him for India's own Gaganyaan mission, which is to launch from Indian soil on an Indian rocket, where the countdown will also be Indian. And
What do you mean the countdown will be Indian?
Obviously, because if you launch from Sriharikota, the countdown will be Indian. Right now, the countdown is American. So we have bought a seat. It's like a Uber. It's a large Uber where four passengers are there.
Now,
India
Pallav,
has paid 550 crores.
This is. I think you're going to upset a lot of people by saying that this is the taxi ride.
It is, in fact, that. Let us be very clear. We bought the seat for 550 crores. We have a very talented person. Pardon?
55 million, is it?
That's about $68 million. But it gives us tremendous leg up for our Gaganyaan program, because we get to understand human space flight by being inside the American program, the European program, and the Russian program. And that's be a great learning for India's own Gaganyaan. So a great beginning. It's not money which has just been spent without thought. There is a great thought which has gone into it, but it is an American countdown. What we need is an Indian countdown on an Indian rocket, and that is what will give both you and me great pride if we are there to report
Impe, as you can see, there is pride and nationalism sort of oozing out of the NDTV anchors this morning. You'll have to sort of take that into account. But I think it reflects a genuine sense of enthusiasm in this country. And I think one of the most defining features of India's space program, and Pallav and I, Professor Impe, have been doing this for the last decade, covering various aspects of India's space program, is it's ignited so many young minds. The fact that you've got young students from regional engineering universities and colleges, getting into advanced aerospace engineering, various aspects of aerospace engineering, getting into extremely difficult competitive examinations, trying to get into the Indian Space Research Organization. You've got a fledgling private sector aerospace industry, which is, besides anything else, doing wonderfully well in the development of drones, not just for military purposes, but for other purposes as well. You've got an evolution of technologies, not just in the government sector, but also in the private sector when it comes to rocketry. There's been an evolution, for example, of technologies when it comes to carbon composite technology and the fabrication of aerospace structures. So I think a lot of what is happening now in the country is part of that sense of enthusiasm and ambition that India sees as part of going to space. I think that's where it all comes from. So in that context, Professor Impe, what are your thoughts about what India can potentially achieve given the ISRO program that we've seen so far?
I think the human aspect of spaceflight is important. It creates an emotional connection. It's sort of we know we can be with the Indian astronaut up in space. We can project our emotions, our feelings, our aspirations onto them. But what India has already achieved in robotic spaceflight is very impressive. And we all know, those of us in the space sector, that it is easier and cheaper and more reliable and safer to do things robotically with technologies to do unmanned missions to the moon. And India has had enormous success already in that. So I think that's maybe the thing that will persist into the future. Yes, humans in space are important, but humans are fragile, they're delicate, they have to be maintained, they have to be protected, their lives are valuable. India's aspirations in robotic missions and spaceflight are also large, and exploration in the solar system, and that is that's not insignificant. It perhaps doesn't grab people the same way that having your hero, your Indian hero in Earth orbit does, but it's very important. I think it's very important for the development of Indian aerospace industry.
All right, let's go quickly across to Gauri Dwivedi, who's got many more details on this particular mission, the rocket, and indeed the spacecraft. Go ahead.
Indeed. Vishnu, while of course we've been talking about several aspects of what this mission really means in terms of India's space program going forward, a quick update in terms of telling our viewers what the Falcon 9 rocket is really all about. First and foremost, it is made by Elon Musk's company SpaceX. In terms of the kind of pedigree as far as the rocket itself is concerned, the success ratio, let's take our viewers through some of that. It actually first flew in 2010. 2010 is when it had its debut, and it sort of transformed how space operations are really done as far as allowing it to have some, first reuse and reusable rockets, so to say. And let's move ahead and talk about the success ratio and also the specs. Success ratio is about 99.4% in its 492 flights. That's incredible statistic and extremely important as we talk about the success of this mission. This is an important statistic point. We're going to come back and tell you the number of flights that it has succeeded in. In terms of specs, it's 70 meters tall, almost as high as Qutub Minar. Again, for a layman's perspective to understand what is the specifications of this rocket that we're talking about. We mentioned about the number of flights it has undertaken. Well, there were 492 flights, of which 489 have been successful. This is the success ratio we were talking about, 99.4%. Let's talk about now the number of humans it has taken to space. 10 human flights, 26 humans it has taken to space. This started from 2020 onwards when NASA gave the approval for the first human space flight, the first since 1981. And last important point is that it uses cryogenic oxygen and rocket-grade kerosene. Back to you, Vishnu, in the studio.
All right, thanks very much for that. Dr. Lele, would you like to run us through, your thoughts on the rocket itself, in as much as we've seen a couple of failed missions recently with SpaceX rockets? This one is fairly reliable.
Reliable rocket, as it was pointed out that it has got 99% of a success rate. And the rocket also has taken successful missions to the International Space Station. So there is a reliability factor which is associated with, experience factor also which is associated with it. And Axiom's, this is for the 4th mission. So as far as Crew Dragon module is concerned, this is again a very interesting mission where the 4th time the Crew Dragon module is going to the International Space Station as a part of an Axiom. Earlier, if I have to slightly trace back the history, there's a company called Space Adventures who used to take the trips to International Space Station by paying money. Like if you remember, the first person to go International Space Station in 2001 was Dennis Tito. So he paid around $20 million at that point in time for the Soyuz seat. So people have gone to International Space Station by paying money, and there's no harm into it, because in today's world, if you have to learn something, definitely you have to pay money for it also. If you see historically, Rakesh Sharma had gone. That was because of the collaboration between the Soviets and India. Just an interesting point over here. Rakesh Sharma's mission, Mrs. Gandhi was asked. Before that, Mr. Morarji Desai was a prime minister, and he was asked whether India would like to take an astronaut to space. But he had denied it. But subsequently, Mrs. Gandhi picked it on, and we all know that what happened, Sare Jahan Se Acha.
All right. In fact, Pallav, very quickly, will there be a mission along the lines of Sare Jahan Se Acha from space?
Well, I certainly hope so. And
can we expect the Prime Minister to speak to the astronaut?
Well, right now, all we know is that there will be a conversation with a VIP. And normally in India, when we mention a VIP and we mention space, the love and affection which Prime Minister Narendra Modi has for the space program is
which he
well
directly
known.
oversees.
He directly oversees as the minister. I'm sure we will see a conversation between Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla and Prime Minister Narendra Modi happening in the next few days after the launch.
Sure.
And there will also be 2 conversations between Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla with his own school, which is the City Montessori School in Lucknow, where he studied for 12 years, and also with experts and other school children and college students in Trivandrum. That is well known now, but the VIP name is not known. But I'm reasonably sure that Prime Minister Narendra Modi would have a conversation, and we'll probably have a Sare Jahan Se moment, or an even bigger moment than that, because he is a space buff who loves, and he's given India the roadmap till 2040 on space program, giving 33,000 crore rupees for the Indian space program for the human space flight. So he has a vision, and I'm sure he will have a conversation. And it would be, I had asked the former administrator of NASA when he came to India last, Bill Nielsen, that on this Axiom-4 flight, if Prime Minister Narendra Modi decides to become the astronaut and not send one of our astronauts, and he goes, and Bill Nielsen, he himself is a politician, he's a senator. He said NASA would welcome that.
Yeah, but Pallav, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It takes a little bit to be an astronaut, sustaining 3Gs for a period of time, all the physical, the rigorous training.